Hey everyone, welcome back to PA Coach Autumn. Today I'm going to be diving into some essential tips for your upcoming PA school interviews. These tips helped me personally get accepted into 2 different PA school programs and waitlisted on a third, my first round of applying to PA school back in 2015. I'm super excited to go over these essential tips with you today. As always, like and subscribe if you found my content helpful. Let's get started. First off, with any PA school interview, you're going to have to know what the PA role is. As of 2024, the PA is still a dependent role. We can see patients, we can do a medical history, we can do a medical physical exam, we can diagnose, order labs, diagnostic imaging, and we can come up with a treatment plan, but we still are going to have to collaborate with a physician. So it's important that you know all of that when you're going for your PA school interviews. So now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about the first tip when you're preparing for your PA school interview, and that's going to be researching the program that you're applying to. What I found super helpful when I was going through my interviews with different programs was actually going onto a website called PA Forum. You can go into the website and look at past interviewees or people who are currently in the application cycle, and sometimes they will talk about the style of interviews that were done at that program. As we all know, there is not a one-size-fits-all for program interview styles. So they can do independent interviews, they can do the panel interviews, which is 3 interviewers and you. They could do the group interviews where there's a bunch of you kind of in a room and they're asking rapid-fire questions. They can do the group interviews where they kind of challenge you to all work together to come up with a solution. They can also do multiple mini interviews, which can be really difficult and challenging if you're not used to those style. And then they can also have you complete tasks or challenges that seem kind of off the wall. One of my program interviews had us come up with a new science device out of building blocks and explain why it was helpful. So the interviews can be really unique and different. So researching the program, going onto the websites, looking at old Facebook pages for previous applicants or previous graduating classes, talking to people who have gone to that program if you're able to do that. Research the program so you know what you're getting into, because there's multiple interview questions as well. So there's going to be behavioral interview questions, ethical, situational, emotional, illegal. So make sure you have kind of a list of the top 10 of each of those style of interview questions and know how you're going to answer that. So that brings me to tip number 2, which is tailor your responses for the questions. So this is going to mean that you've done your research, you know what the core values of the program are, you know what the motto is, you know what type of students they're looking for. And so you want to tailor each of your responses to that candidate that they're looking for. So if they have a specific type of applicant that they, tend to look for, so people who are interested in rural medicine, people who are from the area, people who are more interested in surgery or going into emergency medicine, they're going to have kind of what they're looking for on their website. So tailor each of your responses to the most common interview questions. So when you have your list of 10, 15, 20 most common interview questions, you're going to tailor your responses to that program so that way you become the applicant that they're looking for. So this brings me to tip number 3, which is prepare those answers in advance. So as I kind of touched on already, you want to have a list of the most common PA school interview questions, and I actually have a video going through some of the top 10 interview questions that you're going to be asked. And you want to spend time and write out your answers. So you want to be able to tailor your experiences. So if you had previous healthcare experience as respiratory tech, CNA nurse, previous shadow experience, or really unique experiences, you want to kind of have a list of those and how you're going to incorporate them into the most common PA interview questions that you're going to be asked. This is also going to mean that you want to show, don't tell when you're doing your interviews. So, you can obviously say, I'm an empathetic, hard worker, team player. Everyone's going to say that. You want to show how you're an empathetic person. You want to show how you're a team player. You want to show how you're a hard worker. And so you show that by actually talking about experiences where you've demonstrated those attributes. So make sure, when you talk about your experiences, that those experiences really have a clear message of, I did this and this is why it showed I'm empathetic. I did this and that's why it shows I'm a team player. So show, don't tell is really important when you're answering interview questions. Brings me to number 4, practice, practice, practice. Practice all the time. So once you know you're going to be interviewing at a certain program, you've researched the program, you have your answers kind of written out, You know how you're going to tailor those answers to the program that you're applying to. You want to practice interviewing. And I don't recommend that you practice interviewing constantly with people you're comfortable with, because when you get into the room, you're not going to know these people. You're not going to know how they respond. You're not going to know their subtle kind of body language, verbal language, what's going to give them away as interested versus not interested. So when you're, practicing with your brothers, your sister, your family members, you're going to feel very comfortable because you talk to them all the time. So you want to schedule mock interviews with people that you're not comfortable with. So this is going to be potentially program advisors, or I know my school allowed free mock interviews. You just had to set them up in advance, which was super helpful. So if you're at a university or a college that offers, free mock interviews, take them up on it. If they charge and it's affordable, still take them up on it. You want to interview with people that you're uncomfortable with, because your heart's going to be beating real fast. You're going to be nervous. You're going to be anxious. And you want to practice having that anxiety before you go into your interview day. So that way you know how you're going to feel and you know how you're going to kind of deal with that stress and deal with that anxiety. And you don't want to be learning how to deal with that the day of the interview, if that makes sense. So this brings us to the actual interview day. So plan for success. If you are going to be going out of state for an interview, get there the day before if you can. Obviously, this isn't plausible for every single person, but if you have the opportunity to book a hotel or fly in a day before, do that. You want to get a good night's rest. You want to eat a good dinner the night before. You want to, get a really good night's sleep. If you exercise in the morning, you want to exercise the day of the interview. You want to be in a mindset of, really, really well rested, well fed. Your stress level is as low as it can be because you've done the things that you usually do to manage stress at home. So that way when you walk into that interview, you're not frazzled. And you want to get to the interview at least 30 minutes early because you don't want to be lost the day of the interview. So if you get there the day before, go to the campus, figure out where you're going to be interviewing, figure out where you need to be the morning of, so that way you can get there, 30 minutes early, not right on time, 30 minutes early. And so that way nothing leading up to that interview is going to frazzle you and throw you off for answering those questions. Set yourself up for the best possible outcome by planning for success. This brings me to my next tip, which is dress for success.
Oh. Ah. Mmm.
Whether you're a guy or a girl, you need to be looking professional. So if you're a guy, I recommend, a nice shirt with a suit, a jacket, a matching tie, matching socks, and dress shoes. Don't rock up with a suit and then Nikes. Make sure you look the part and everything matches. Make sure that your hair is done at least to some degree. Make sure you brush your teeth, wash your face, put on some deodorant. If you're a female, make sure you're wearing either a dress suit or a blazer and a jacket with dress pants and closed-toe shoes. You can wear heels, but try and make sure they're not over 2 to 3 inches. Wedges are preferable, but you don't want to be wearing 6-inch heels with open toes. If you're going to be wearing a skirt, it needs to be at least below the knees, and you want to make sure that you're not wearing any really low-cut, really tight, or really see-through type clothes. You want this to be a professional look. Now, my public service announcement for every applicant: do not overdo it on the cologne or perfume or smelly lotion. The last thing you want is to be in the middle of an interview and your interviewer thinking, oh my God, I am getting a migraine because whatever that person is wearing is driving my nose insane. The great thing about dressing for success is if you dress for success, you're going to feel great. So make sure you are in an outfit that you feel comfortable and confident in, because if you feel comfortable and confident, you're going to come off as comfortable and confident. So don't pick something that you don't feel good in. You want to feel good the day of the interview and you want to look professional. So this brings me to another tip that I was given after PA school and when I was interviewing that I found I had done in my PA program interviews that I think made a huge difference. Is I tried to find a connection with my interviewer. So if you get into the interview, you've asked all the questions and you still have a few minutes and you've noticed, hey, they're into kayaking. Hey, they're into fishing. Hey, they're into the same sports teams. Something that you both share. Point it out. People love to talk about themselves. And I didn't realize this as much as I did when I was younger and applying for the PA program. But looking back, every single interview I went to, the 2 schools that I got into, those programs specifically, I had made a connection with the interviewer. So at one program, we both grew up in Meridian. We had both gone to similar high schools. He was an alumni of the high school that I graduated from. I saw that on his wall. I pointed it out. And then we spent 5 minutes and actually went over the allotted time because we were talking about the school, about growing up in the same town, about all of these things. And at the end, I felt like I had made a good connection. He probably felt like he had made a good connection because people like to have shared interests. So if after going through the program, asking your questions, really highlighting your values, why you're a good applicant, if you've noticed that there is something on their wall that they're presenting or something that they have said that you can connect with them. Ask them about it, point it out, let them start talking about themselves, because if they start talking about themselves and if they're talking about something that they're excited about and you're enthusiastically listening or contributing to that conversation, their perception of you is going to be very different from interviewer, interviewee, to suddenly you have a shared connection and they're going to like you more. They're going to think more highly of you. This is kind of one of those psychological tricks that you pick up, as you do these more and more, but making that connection is going to give you a leg up against other interviewees. So if you can pick out a connection or find something that you have in common, do not hesitate to point it out. You will be surprised that once you get someone talking about themselves, they love to do it and won't stop. Finally, at the end of the day, it's the most important thing is send thank you notes and show gratitude for being here today. There are hundreds of thousands of people who are applying to PA school every single year, and they chose you. They brought you out to their program. They thought you were worth their time to come out and be interviewed. They already think you're interesting. They already know you're a great candidate. This is the day that you just prove that. So make sure you show gratitude. Make sure you send a thank you note or an email. Get the names of the people that interviewed you or look them up on the website. Get the names of the faculty or the students that you talked with and send them a thank you email saying, this is what I liked about your program. This is what made that day so special. Thank you so much for considering me. And that will kind of wrap it all up, and it's the professional thing to do. So these are all tips that I did in 2015, and I got accepted to 2 different programs. I was waitlisted for a 3rd. I guarantee that if you take some of these tips with you to your next PA school interview, you're gonna crush it. As always, if you found this content helpful, please like my channel. If you want more content like this, please subscribe. Thank you so much for being here today. I hope you crush it at your next PA school interview. See you next time.